Afternoon. First question I have is on the elimination of the ag research line item. Obviously, in theory, ag research is a critical aspect of, obviously, the agricultural industry. How do you, and it's just not this administration, previous administrations have always lined that specific line item out through negotiations. It's usually returned. My question is fundamentally, how do you fundamentally do research between fiscal years when that line's pulled out? Is it the wisest thing to do every year is line that out? How do your researchers go and say, I want to do plum pox research or any number of agricultural research between fiscal years when it's an unknown entity year to year between budget negotiations?
I'm going to turn that over to Mike Peckers.
Thank you, sir. A very good question. When I started at the Department of Agriculture many years ago, that line was several $1 million. Now, obviously, at that time, the state economy and the state budget were in a much different situation. Over the last few years, the legislature has provided us just under $800,000 to support ag research through our line item, and that I would note that is separate from the Penn State Extension and Research line item. We have used our line item to do, as you pointed out, 6-month projects. They begin on January 1 and conclude on June 30th. That's very difficult often for our research institutions to do. It takes a lot of time to gear up, to get a contract in place, to buy the equipment necessary to do the field trials or whatever it may be. But I have to note with Penn State and UPenn and the other institutions that we work with, they get them done in 6 months. So they've done a very good job with that. And as you pointed out, everything from brown marmorated stink bugs to colony collapse disorder to plum pox virus, which we have officially eradicated. Research is very important, but as you also pointed out, it's more difficult to try to get research projects done in 6 months. They're usually multi-year projects. Yeah, and I just think moving forward, maybe we need to have a better conversation of, whether it's a deliberate or back and forth through negotiations. Maybe that's not the line item to pick based on some consistency. And obviously it's critical, especially when we talk about plum pox and other issues that could just devastate our agricultural industry moving forward. Appreciate that. Last question. Another issue we hear big from York County, another huge issue affecting local governments and our farmers is the Chesapeake Bay tributary strategy. Can you provide an update on the status of the program and any interactions with the Pennsylvania DEP to help farmers reduce non-point source pollution from our streams and waterways?
Well, I know that Pennsylvania has been working with the conservation districts, and the farmers have been working together for years to develop best management practices for farmers. And I think that the method that the federal government has, the model that the federal government has, is flawed. I mean, I know firsthand experience that on my farm I have drip line range systems, I have conservation strips, conservation tillage, milk house wastewater systems all installed. And, they've been installed for years. So I think that Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania farmers have worked. Now there's always going to be a few bad eggs in the bunch, but for the most part, we have been working on pollution in Chesapeake Bay and beyond. So I think that Pennsylvania kind of got dealt a bad hand here in the Chesapeake Bay, but we will continue to work on the federal level with our congressmen and on the state level with the different support organizations for improving the bay water quality.
I appreciate that, and I think I completely agree with your analogy that the federal government needs to do a far better job on this and many, many, many other issues they're dealing with. So thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.